You don't know what you don't know, and it's not your fault. Remember when you knew everything? It was probably around the time you were sporting a flannel shirt over a band tee, or maybe low-rise jeans and a trucker hat. You had the world figured out. The system was rigged. The music on the radio was at its best. And anyone over 30 was fundamentally clueless. Then, you actually turned 30, or 40, and maybe 50. And then a funny thing happened. The more you learned, the more you realized how much you didn't know. That crisp, black and white certainty of youth started to look like 1,000 shades of gray. Welcome to the most liberating and terrifying realization of your life. You don't know what you don't know. And for our generations, the latchkey kids and the burnt-out millennials, this is a particularly hard pill to swallow. Why? Because we were programmed for cynicism. The cynicism factory was our cultural boot camp. Think about our formative years. Gen X, we were the first MTV generation. We were weaned on Reaganomics, Cold War anxiety, and cheesy public service announcements that told us to just say no while the world felt like it was falling apart. Our entertainment was dripping with sarcasm. From the nihilistic kids in Heathers to the disaffected slackers in Reality Bites and the perpetual skepticism of the X-Files. Trust no one. Our default setting was a raised eyebrow. Millennials, you got a different but equally potent dose. You were raised on stranger danger, the 24/7 news cycle, post 9/11, and the promise that if you just worked hard and went to college, you'd get a good job. Then the Great Recession hit, and that promise evaporated. You were handed participation trophies you didn't ask for, then ridiculed for having them. Your cultural touchstones are defined by irony, from The Simpsons to Rick and Morty. The result for both of us: a highly tuned, deeply ingrained BS detector. This skepticism was a survival mechanism. It protected us. It helped us spot hollow marketing, empty political promises, and toxic positivity from a mile away. But here's the problem. A tool you never learn to turn off becomes a weapon you eventually use on yourself. When the BS detector jams, that powerful cynicism that once felt like a superpower starts to have some nasty side effects. It closes doors before we even see them. We dismiss new ideas, technologies, or self-help trends as cringe or for suckers without ever investigating them. It breeds intellectual stagnation. It's easier to mock something from the sidelines than to engage with it and risk being wrong. It masks fear. Cynicism is often a defense mechanism against the vulnerability of hope. If you never try, you can't fail. If you never hope, you can't be disappointed. It isolates us. It becomes our entire personality, making genuine connection and growth difficult. Our BS detector is so sensitive it's now flagging everything as a potential threat, including our own potential for growth. The first step: admitting you have no idea. So, how do we start to understand change? In our careers, our relationships, our own minds, when we're wired to be suspicious of it. It begins by embracing the concept of unknown unknowns. There are things you know how to do your job. The lyrics to Smells Like Teen Spirit. There are things you don't know. How to code in Python. The intricacies of quantum physics. But the most critical category is the things you don't know. These are the blind spots, the hidden opportunities, the perspectives you've never even considered. Your cynicism has been building a wall around this entire category, protecting you from it. To tear down that wall, you need to practice something that feels utterly alien: intellectual humility, rewiring the system. From cynic to curious skeptic. This isn't about becoming a wide-eyed naive optimist. That would be inauthentic and, frankly, annoying. It's about upgrading from a cynic to a curious skeptic. A cynic says, "That's stupid. It'll never work. Full stop. No further thought required." A curious skeptic says, "That's an interesting claim. I'm not sure I believe it, but I wonder what the evidence is. Let me look into it." See the difference? One is a dead end. The other is a doorway. Here are a few ways to start. Challenge your own thoughts. Like, obviously. When you think something is obviously true or stupid, pause. Ask yourself, is it really? What is my belief based on? What if I'm missing a piece? Seek out smart people you disagree with. Not trolls, but thoughtful people with different viewpoints. Listen to understand their framework, not just to rebut them. You don't have to agree, but you might discover a unknown. Dabble in the cringe. Read a cheesy self-help book. Try a mindfulness app. Listen to a podcast about a topic you've always mocked. Do it not as a believer, but as an anthropologist. What can you learn from it, even if you take it with a huge grain of salt? Ask more questions. Make fewer statements. Replace that would never work with what would need to be true for that to work. Understanding change doesn't start with having all the answers. It starts with the quiet, humbling, and profoundly powerful admission that you don't even know all the questions. Our cynicism was a suit of armor that helped us survive our particular cultural wars. But we're not just survivors anymore. We're the ones in charge now. It's time to take off the armor, look at the vast landscape of what we don't know, and get curious. The other side of cynicism is not being naive. It's wisdom, and it's waiting for you. Thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned, subscribe and like for more bits of insights. Together, we can move past the constraints of our modern world.